In a world filled with really good superheroes who are never beaten and always stand up for good Christian values, one man stands above them all. Clothed in black, he hunts under the cover of night. He has no superpowers. He doesn't kill people. He's rich, intelligent, attractive. He's Batman. Batman. We're talking about Batman. In probably the most uncool way you can talk about Batman, we're going to analyze whether Batman exists as a modernist response to the concept of a superhero and a modernist response to society at large, or is he just another branch in the endless cosmos of what it means to be a superhero? First things first, we're going to set some ground rules. Boo! Ground rules are for babies. Well, too bad for you. I'm an engineer, and I thrive on the reduction of variables. So there, take that, unassuming viewer who's definitely arguing with me, because I'm most certainly not having this conversation with myself. Right? Right. For the sake of this video, postmodernism doesn't exist. It's dumb, I hate it, it makes everything too complicated, and there are much smarter people than me that could explain the exact differences between the two. Now for my next magic trick, I'm going to provide a succinct and easy to understand definition of modernism. Abracadabra. Hold up, that's not right. One more time. Wingardium Leviosa. Okay, that's, oh no, too many words. This was supposed to be a fun video. What's happening? In the name of Ernest Hemingway, begone, I tell you. Begone! Okay. Deep breath. We can handle this. Basically, modernists are these guys. You got Hemingway. You've got Fitzgerald. You've got Juno Barnes. You've got Gertrude Stein. What do all these people have in common? Their impeccable sense of fashion. Obviously, I mean, look at Gwendolyn just slaying that outfit. Go off, queen! No, that can't be right. They all knew each other. They lived it up in Paris. They left America and came here, to Paris. They went from salons to the bars and markets, all while discussing how much they hated the literature of the past century. Some of them had some trauma from the war. I'm looking at you, Hemingway. Or trauma, from the racists or homophobes in America. And that definitely influenced their work, but basically modernists are these guys, gals, and NB pals. Well, the obvious next question is, who wrote the first Batman comics? Maybe they were part of this modernist movement. Well, Batman was supposedly written and created by Bob Kane. This guy. However, it appears Bob was lying, and DC kept that hidden for 40 years. Okay? The best parts of this character were made by Bill Finger. Okay? Well, if Finger wrote it, why did DC claim it was Kane? Bob Kane worked for DC Comics, whose only successful hero up to that point was Superman. So DC Comics told Kane, in classic corporate fashion, you have to make a new superhero for us by Monday. Bob knew what he had to do. This character had to be new. It had to be exciting. It had to be groundbreaking. So what did he create? He made, drumroll please, a blonde version of Superman with a wingsuit. Damn it, Bob. We were literally fighting the Nazis. Blonde does not mean better. He decided to show off his blonde Superman to his good friend Bill Finger. Bill Finger took one look at it and said, well, Bob, the name's great, but let's change everything else. So Bill sat there all night, pounding away at the character concept. Screw the wingsuit. Just give him a cape that looks like a bat. It'll be more imposing. Cut the red. They don't want another Superman. They want dark and mysterious. Make it black and gray. Superman's alter ego? That's the everyman. Working hard at his job, living the American dream. Batman's gotta be rich. So rich, money never bothers him. He's gotta be so unmistakably wealthy, it makes him interesting. He'll beat those superheroes with technology. It was brilliant. And DC loved it. Okay? So was Bill a modernist? Let's look at his Wikipedia page. Boo! I know, but sometimes it's useful. Okay, when was he born? 1915. Dang it, he was a child when the whole modernist thing happened. Okay, what about Bob? Shh. Dang it. Bob was born in 1914. Well, that doesn't work. What about their inspiration? Surely we could call them modernists if they were inspired by this movement. Let's look what his partner had to say.
Bill Finger was a very humanistic kind of fellow. Very
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Maybe humanism, modernism, maybe they're like very similar. That's fine. Well, let's see what Cambridge has to say about the link between the two. Modernism presents a formal critique of the fundamental presumptions of humanism. Okay, got it. Bill is not a modernist. Too optimistic for modernism. Okay, well, maybe his inspirations were modernist. Alright, let's see what inspired him. Here it is. The Shadow. Okay, what's The Shadow about? Genius detective, rich alter ego. Got it. Just some casual plagiarism, sure. Okay, who wrote this? Walter B. Gibson. And you did what with your life? Wrote about Houdini. Anything else? You know, something cool, something modernist maybe? Nope, just Houdini. Did you think he was cool or something? Oh, Houdini. Okay, all right. Walter Gibson, not a modernist. Got it. Therefore, based on this very brief review, I can conclude with absolute certainty, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Batman was not a modernist superhero. Alicia, I ain't about the people, it's about the movement they were creating. It's about the isms, surrealism and Dadaism. But we already said that Bill was following humanism. Sure.
Any of my father's stories were always characterized by oversized things. I'm sure had a great deal to do with the 1939 World's Fair, where they had giant typewriters and giant telephones, the first television, prototypes for computers, new concepts in aircraft, things that turned up in Dick Tracy as well, miniaturized television, like and wristband radios, and it gave a man with ordinary powers super capabilities. He liked the fact that the world was changing. He was born in 1914. The old world was rapidly disappearing.
What does that say about him in Batman? Well, I guess we gotta have more definitions, ain't we? Surrealism, what are you? Danica works? Sure, what do you say about surrealism? Okay, so surrealism is basically combining reality with fantasy in the dream world. I mean, just look at that toaster! The comics were way more surreal than anything at that time. Yeah, but Fred didn't call that surrealism, he basically called it an expression of humanism. His dad was inspired by the World Fair. He wanted to create a world where technology could destroy the horrors of existence. But the toaster, that's not technology defeating the horrors of existence. That's larger than life. It's this human who has to deal with a reality that doesn't make sense. Superman's fighting Nazis and crooks and bank robbers, but Batman is fighting against the surreal. Doesn't that kind of prove the point Cambridge was making? Batman chose to look at the horrors of reality, these surreal elements that represented the chaotic and the strange and the broken, and worked to fix them. It's literally humanism versus the modernist movement. It's why the Joker's such a compelling villain. He is the modernist villain. Everything he does is surreal, it's broken and shocking, and he creates a reality that only he can live in. He creates a reality that has to stand on its own. His reality exists to question the very nature of society. Probably one of the best scenes from the contemporary Batman movies is the scene where he burns that giant stack of money. He's given so much money, flabbergasting amounts of money, but he burns it all to the ground. He turns the money into a Dadaist exhibit for nobody but him to observe. He tries to make everyone else see the nihilism that inspired these modernist writers. You know, like on the boat scene, he has these two ships where each has a bomb in it, and basically they vote to see who gets blown up, whether it's the group of prisoners or the normal average humans, and they break his worldview of nihilism. They choose to kill the prisoners choose to kill themselves, and the middle class people choose to kill the prisoners too. But Batman is the humanist. He's small and stupidly virtuous to the point where there are monologues by other characters in the DC universe talking about how useless trusting jails are to keep these villains in check. But Batman doesn't relent. He decides to trust in humanity instead. He believes in Gotham. Despite the surreal and the pain it's caused, he still believes that humans are worth saving. Yeah, but at the same time, he lives in this completely surreal world he created for himself. He decides that bats are imposing and scary, so he creates this reality for himself. He has the Batcave and the Batmobile and boomerangs and grappling hooks made to look like bats. The thing about Batman's life is this surreal juxtaposition of what it means to be a real human. Wee wee. Hold up. Hold the phone. You quit your yapping. You're talking yourself in circles. Because you ruined the whole conversation in the first minute of the video. What do you mean? I mean, the answer's been looking at you the whole time. Batman is a postmodernist superhero. No, we agreed it was too difficult to complicate things with postmodernism. Well, if you read a little bit further in that Norton definition of modernism, you'd find the answer to your question. Postmodernists chose to look at the surreal narratives and the brokenness of reality and embrace it. Do the unexpected within the brokenness. They chose to look at that nihilism and embraced it, building it into the struggle of every person. Batman embraces that surreal while fighting against it. He put the Joker in jail knowing that he would get out anyways, but that's the compromise he had to make. In order to protect himself from the endless void of the surreal, he chooses to be a human who experiences that surreal. Batman has this traumatic backstory, but his parents are killed in front of him for no reason, because it makes him human. Being human is facing reality as it is. He has to face that trauma, but because he's human like the rest of us, it turns into this surreal identity of a vigilante crime fighter. It's humanism with the surreal and the modernist. It's postmodernism. Well, let's compromise then. Well, Batman himself isn't really a modernist superhero. He seems to stand against a lot of what the modernists stood for. He's a humanist, like the author who made him, Bill. But the villains and the world he lives in, it is modernism. It's this broken cacophony of human experience. That's what I'm saying. It's postmodernism. It's a human story being expressed through this surreal reality, a reality created by the modernists. And yes, in some ways, Batman continues to question what we define as a superhero. And you could call that modernism. He's trying to break through the bounds of what it means to be a superhero, of the literature surrounding superheroes. He's countercultural by nature. Still, I wouldn't call him a modernist just because of that disagreement. I guess you're right. In the same way that these movements kind of blended together, postmodernism and modernism, the story of Batman is a complicated blend of these two interwoven philosophical theories. And honestly, the most modernist response to the question, Batman is both a modernist superhero and he's not. He's surreal, and for the time he was culture bending, and I think in appreciation of the disdain modernist authors had for overanalysis and academicisms, we can just let Batman be that, countercultural and human. At the end of the day, he's a superhero.